help us plan the new park. Families, seniors, kids, and adults are invited to learn about and provide input on a plan for Hetling Park at Tclermont and Tclermont Park. Kids' activities will be provided, including a special session on park design. This will be held November 17th from 4 to 6 p.m. next door at the community house. And invite friends and ask questions and call here at the town hall if you have questions. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Okay.
Let's move on to correspondence for the web committee. Does anybody have any comments, complaints, recommendations for the web committee? Okay. Move on to committee reports. Bob?
Yeah, the only thing on the schedule that Mary read, that present draft to the town board in February, that's a change. They were going to present in December, but they've stretched it out a little bit, so just want to mention that that's a change. So we will see that hopefully in the report from the committee in February.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Good. All right. Evan, do you have anything?
Not too much. I talked last month about the new website and that we were working on moving the remaining content over. That's still in progress. Hopefully, if things go well sometime this month, possibly sometime next month, we'll be able to cut over. It's basically just the meeting minutes now, plus I got some comments on some missing information, so that'll also be updated. But beyond that, not too much to report, so it's basically the same status as last month, except ongoing work.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Chris? Anything?
No, nothing, other than, I think, whenever Evan and I can get together, we'll cross over on the web stuff and try to make that happen a little bit quicker, hopefully.
Okay. Thank you. Go on.
Last month I reported that the grant that Mary Howard and I had worked on and submitted to the state was declined, and I did speak with the gentleman there, and he advised us that the grant that we applied for did not cover planning activities, although neither Mary or I saw that anywhere in any of the literature that we saw. He did give me some recommendations for another grant that we could apply for planning funds through the Department of Environmental Protection, but unfortunately the window for that doesn't open again until next year. It would be the same July time frame, so I'll continue to look for funding in between now and then that hopefully could cover that engineering work that we were looking to do. If not, we'll just apply next July.
Okay.
The other thing is that the meeting last month, Ray asked me to work with the park committee, and I have copies for everybody, they had suggested that we do a kiosk rather than just a sign for all of the information that's going to be at the park. So and I'll pass this down. There are the park committee had this is their first two recommendations. I have one for Mary too. Is through a company that Amy Perella has used in the past, that a 2-post kiosk or a mini kiosk, and they're I was surprised, although I didn't really know what the cost would be, and the cost for is going to run us over $6,000 for these. There's the structure, and then there's additional cost, which for the mini kiosk is about $5,600. For the 2-post classic is $5,800, and then there's additional cost for the panels and the hardware, and then on top of that there would be additional cost for the printing and any of the graphics that go on there. So I do have a request out to Fast Signs over in Kingston. Have not gotten back to me to see if they can have a product that is comparable to what the committee is looking for, that maybe is a little bit less cost. And I'm also going to work with the committee to see if we can find an option that's not as expensive.
I would absolutely appreciate that, because
would have a very hard time putting $6,000 for.
Right, right. You know, I really like that idea. I think it's a good idea. I think it'll look really nice, but I had no idea it was gonna cost this much money.
Yeah, that's quite expensive, I wasn't sure.
I think also, we need, even if we have a kiosk, we need a sign at the entrance, you know, the sign like what the committee had.
Well, this
designed.
sign, what I was advised would be at the parking area right there. It should pull in at the parking area or the kiosk would be right there. Parking area should pull in.
Yeah, but I think we need,
So we can all see what you're
Oh.
talking about?
I
I
think
can-
we need a separate sign, and a kiosk could be put up at a later time in a different location after we see what's happening with the
Fred's gonna
with
zoom
the
in.
park.
I can, I have an extra copy. We can pass this one around.
Dawn,
Yes.
we could also contract a carpenter, and carpenters can do this for much less.
Actually, that's a good idea.
And we have carpenters who live in the community. Many of them.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point too,
And I have
that
seen their work.
we
It's quite
could,
excellent.
that we could look for somebody in the community to, basically, give them the idea and see what they could come up with.
Yeah, I'm sure it could be done for much less than that.
And I'm thinking, we have someone who works up at, in Hudson on 66. Not the college, but the high school. Kids go there after school.
Oh, Bolsey.
Oh, Bolsey.
Both, yes, thank you.
Oh, that's an
Oh, my
idea,
gosh. And they built picnic tables for us. They might be able to,
That's an idea too.
one of their workshops.
The old high school shop.
Yes,
Yeah.
I couldn't think of what it was. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely a possibility we should look into, because that would save us a tremendous amount of money, I'm
Right,
sure.
right.
So,
And then, there would also be the installation cost too. I don't know, depending on timing, if the highway guys could do a chorus, or if it would require that we get somebody else to do it too. So it's getting to be an expensive proposition.
okay.
So I will continue to work with them to see if we can find something less expensive that meets our needs.
Okay. In addition to that, I know Bob brought this up.
Right.
The sign that we talked about before with, with everything listed on it, we're prohibiting. Do you guys feel that should also be as well, in addition to like right on the entrance?
Well, because what we talked,
We do
well, I don't
have
know.
something that says,
Right.
what's allowed. I mean, that's something we could do immediately, I
Right,
think.
because in my emails with Amy, what we talked about was that the park rules would be incorporated in here. We didn't really talk about having the separate sign. So that would be something we could do quickly and have that close to the entrance.
Yeah, I believe we should have the separate sign, because it will stand out. People, I mean, kiosk, people look at that, they may say, oh, there's a list of rules in there, but there's other things, I don't have time to stop and look at that now. So with a sign that's, as you drive in, as I've seen in many parks in the area, you'll see it and you can read it as you're going by, and if you don't get it all, you don't have to stop as long to do that.
Okay, so,
I think a kiosk is a good idea, like they have one over at Poets Walk. I'm not sure exactly where the best place to place it, and I think we may want to wait a little bit till we see, different things that are happening with the park, and then, if we think we're going to put up a pavilion at some time, we may want it close to where the pavilion is, or if we don't, we may want it somewhere else. So I think, it's good to get the prices and find out what it's going to cost us. But I think as we get right down to it, we need to get the sign up and then plan this as more of a, not long future, but a little bit in the
okay.
future.
Because we could, some of the things that, if we didn't want to do the signs similar to what's over at the Little League field, there are other structures that would fit in more with this idea, that would be less expensive, that we could get the rules on too.
I think Bob, the committee all agreed on certain things that should be on the rules of
Yes,
the park.
yes.
And that's what you're talking about, the separate.
Yes.
Forget
Yes.
about the kiosk for now.
Yes.
So that should go up as soon as possible.
Yes.
There should be one with entrance and closer to the soccer field. So it's a reminder of what is allowed and not.
Okay, so we can continue on that too.
Okay, so maybe we could follow, because this is remember we
Yes.
wrote that list of everything.
Yes.
Maybe we could actually maybe get an idea of putting this together, so we can actually get these, and then we'll work on
Okay.
with this.
The thing we also have to remember is that, like the sign that we have over by the swings, rather put that up, they actually dug holes.
Right,
You can't
right,
dig holes.
right,
You gotta
right.
drive something in the ground and mount it differently.
Right, no, I agree, I
Oh.
Well,
understand.
we can dig, but we're gonna try to avoid that, because we can't dig, if we penetrate the fabric, it's a whole headache, so we did not wanna do that, so.
Right,
we wanna
right.
drive something in the ground.
Okay, so I will continue on that. I don't have any information about it, but there is going to be an Election Day dinner. On Election Day, I know Tammy reached out to people, and I haven't seen a flyer yet, and I don't know what the menu is. So when that gets finalized, I know I've usually in the past been the person that did the publicity for it, and it gets put on the Community Access Channel through GTEL. It gets put on our website. There's usually 1 or 2 copies of it hanging around here, so I just encourage people to look forward to that. And then just another public service announcement is that new this year in New York State is early voting, that there's been a change in the law that will allow people to vote early beginning October 26th. From October 26th through November 3rd, you can vote early. It will be just as if you came to the town hall here that day. There's 3 locations. One is at the Board of Elections in Hudson. The other is at the Martin Glen Municipal Building in Valatia. And the third is the Copake Town Hall. There's information out on the county website if you go to the Board of Elections page of the county website, and from the 26th through November 3rd, which includes weekends, that you'll be able to vote, and it'll be, as I said, it would be just as if you were voting here that day. So that's something to be aware of also. And that's it.
Let's vote early and often, is that it?
Just once. Just once.
All right, thank you, Dawn.
Yep. Yes.
Can a link to that door be put on the Tclermont website?
Oh, we can do that, yes. I can,
Directing people
yep,
to Hudson?
yep, I can work with Evan and do that, yes.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Let's move on to old business. I think we just went over to park signage. I just wanted to have that on so we could discuss that, which we just did. 2020 budget review. Budget workshop a couple weeks ago, went through the numbers, prepared the tentative budget, which we have for tonight. We will be adopting it to the preliminary budget. Just to give a quick recap, there will be a public hearing on this next month for the public comment, but I'm just going to go through and give the highlights of it, just so everybody's aware of it. This will be, once we adopt the preliminary, it will be available to the public, obviously, for review. But I'd just like to say again, this year, like the past several years, there is no tax increase for the town tax, for the town of Tclermont. We're holding line at 0%, which we've done, I believe, 7 or 8 years in a row now. Maybe it's more than that. But just to give everybody an idea, the tax rate, I know we did a reassessment. The property values did go up in the towns. Most went up, some went down. But the tax rate actually dropped because the values have went up. So just because your value went up, depending on how much it went up, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pay more, because the tax rate went from 47 cents per thousand to 42 cents per thousand. So it did drop a little bit on the tax rate itself. So when you get your new bill, again, it may not necessarily mean you have an increase because your tax assessment went up. But it is balanced. A common misunderstanding is, oh, they raised the assessments, the town's making more money. The town makes absolutely zero on, more additional funds on any reassessment. All it does is equal out the assessment values throughout the town. So we don't collect any more money because the assessment was done, even though the values went up. Basically, it gets everybody to as close to perfect as we possibly can as far as values and equal throughout the town. It does not result in additional funds for the town. So I just want to point that out. There is no additional money collected. With that being said, we had some raises that were given out this year. The past few years, we've been very conservative on raises. We haven't given many at all. This year, we decided to bump several people a very little bit, but I'm going to go over that real quick. Start with the highway department. We did have a discussion on this. The highway superintendent and the 2 employees received a 2% raise. I don't think that's out of the question, but we did bump them 2%. The justices, we have 2 justices. We bumped them $150 each, which brings them up to $5,600 each for the year. The justice clerk that takes care of the clerk work for both justices. We bumped $100. The tax collector was bumped $100. The building inspector was the largest increase out of all. It was a $2,000 increase, which brings him from $9,000 up to $11,000. Only because when we hired him, the workload is basically almost doubled since he's been hired. He's had to put in additional hours. He's probably going to be adding hours to his office hours. He's doing a lot more work than when we hired him. We've had this discussion, we've talked about it, and we recognize that it does obviously need additional compensation, so we awarded the extra $2,000 for his raise. The only other one was, that was it. The cleaner, I'm sorry, the cleaner, and the clerk. The clerk got a $100 raise, and the cleaner was bumped to $150. Again, very minor raises, but we felt that it was time to do a little something for the people that have been working so hard for us. So, that being said, please hold your questions. The overall budget for the town this year is $675,441. The total amount raised by taxes is the same as last year, $104,580. The rest of it is made up by revenues, which we've received from the county, and state reimbursements, and sales tax, which is the county sales tax. We're only budgeting to be used from fund balance this year, $39,654. That's a very conservative number. Our numbers are very conservative on our revenue predictions. We believe that we will not use anything out of fund balance, so we're predicting that we'll probably actually put a few dollars in the bank by the time it's all said and done, which is great news. As long as the sales tax revenue continues, it's been very good. All we needed to do is stay steady. We don't need to keep going up. We just need to remain steady. So we're actually in very good shape as far as revenues for the town. The only other highlight in the budget, I guess, would be the fact that the brownfields work is done. We removed that from the cost of the town. It's been said and done. We did put some money in the parks line for additional work on the park that we're doing. We were $1,000 out of the budget, added to the budget for the parks improvements. And there is more money in that actual account that if we need it, we will transfer it over. But we do want to continue to progress on developing the park, trying to do it slowly with donations rather than add it to the taxpayers, which we've been able to do so far. We still have $30,000 left, I think, in donations. So we have money in there that we do not have to use taxpayer dollars for. So we have $35,000 roughly. So,
35 in the top?
yes, total.
It's not in the budget.
That's not in the budget, but that is in our account for work to be done on the park. And just to give people a quick idea what the highway department's going to be doing for road work this year, or excuse me, for 2020, which they put in their schedule. Stone topping Cemetery Road, stone topping Jug Road, stone topping Firehouse Road, stone topping East Camp Road, and stone topping Old Road. And they will be doing blacktop on Trout Creek Road for 0.35 miles. So that will use up his $90,000 in his budget for his highway work. Other than that, really, again, I can't say enough, is, we've been conservative numbers. We have a solid budget. We do not predict any increase at all, we're not presenting any increase at all, and we're happy to say that we've been doing very well with the revenues we've been receiving. So there will be a public hearing next month. I'll probably go through this again, maybe with a little bit more detail, but anybody would like to come to that meeting, we're glad to take comments on the budget. It'll be held at 6:45 November 4th, which is right before our next town board meeting. That being said, we'll move on to new business. I'd like to present the tentative budget for adoption into the preliminary budget.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Who made the second? I'm sorry, Bob.
I think I just set the public hearing, but to set the public hearing will be November 4th at 6:45 p.m. Okay. All right. Next, I
received a notice from Patrice Perry, which is the Director of County Planning, that the Region 6, Region 8? Region 6 seat is coming up for renomination, which is held by Larry Salpa. Region 6 on the County Planning Board represents Tclermont, Germantown, Livingston. He has been our representative, and actually I believe he's chair of the committee now for the past several years, and he's up for reappointment. I haven't talked to Germantown yet, but I don't see any issues. I think Livingston's on board. Everybody is happy with Larry serving. I'd just like to have a board vote to renominate him for the seat for the next term.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, sexual harassment training. We talked about this a little bit throughout the year. I was led to believe by our insurance company that we did not have to participate in the sexual harassment training. I was misinformed, and now I've been corrected, that we do have to have every single person that receives a check from the town of Tclermont attend or have a certification from another job or wherever they've attended a sexual harassment training once a year, every year going forward. This has to be done. So, some people have already turned in some certificates from other jobs where they've received training, but we are holding a training session here at the town hall on 2 different dates. Saturday, October 19th at 10 a.m. and Tuesday, October 22nd at 7 p.m. They will both be held here. We have a county employee coming down that does the training. They basically walk you through, you basically just listen to the presentation. It takes roughly an hour, less than an hour. She has all the paperwork. Whoever attends signs off, and right off they'll issue the certificate that you've attended and you've completed, and that's all we need to do. It will have to be done every year, so we'll have to set a date every year, a couple dates every year to have this done. But those dates again are 10/19 at Saturday 10/19 at 10 a.m., Tuesday 10/22 at 7 p.m. So I think I know Mary's already sent a letter to everybody that needs to attend, and we've had responses ready. We're actually setting this up, but this will be taken care of before the end of the year.
Excuse me, going forward, what system of accountability do we have in place if somebody doesn't have that training, that they then would not be allowed to go forward in their role and responsibility?
Well, they'll have to provide a certificate by the end of the year. If they,
Calendar year?
by the calendar year, yes. So we have to either have the training, they have to attend this training, or if they can't make this training, they have to attend somewhere else and present a certificate by the end of the year. So we have to have that, otherwise we will no longer be able to employ them.
Will there be a certification process or notification publicly that everybody or 95% have done so, or?
Well,
some accountability?
it'll need to be 100% compliant, otherwise we will not be able to move forward with that employee, or that person.
And will the public be told that X, Y, and Z did not conform to that?
We can certainly announce that after this is completed, that everybody's completed it.
Just so we all know.
Sure, yeah, that's easy enough.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, one last thing I didn't have on here, I just want to mention that we just received a donation. I received it this evening, another donation for the park in the amount of $2,000. The donation and the donator would like to remain anonymous. So all I can say is I'd like to thank that individual very much for a $2,000 donation, which is, I will honor their request to keep it anonymous. Well, her and him. Sure. Could be either or. So, yes, again, thank you very much, and thanks to everybody in the past that has continued, that's donated in the past and continue to donate going forward. We certainly appreciate it, and it goes a long way, and obviously keeping the money out of the taxpayers, having to come up with taxpayers' dollars to...
Park committee now of $37,000.
This is correct.
No, we do not have that in the budget.
Park
Well,
committee,
it's in the fund balance, it's not in the budget.
We have $10,000 in the budget for park.
Okay.
So that's 47.
No,
You're right, it is.
That's including that.
Yes.
One thing we didn't, do we need to authorize the park committee to buy the bulbs?
I was hoping we could have some kind of estimate that we could approve, get a number to approve, and just saying, go ahead. I mean,
I know timeliness of that is an issue because Amy needs to order them soon so that we can hurry them and plant them before it gets
do you have a
too hard.
ballpark?
I think Amy is working on a price, so is there a way to submit it to you prior to the next meeting and you have to wait to the...
Right, I just need to wait till
again,
December.
or...
Well, if it's $500 or under, I can approve it. If it's over that, the board has to
She was
approve it.
saying it was somewhere, maybe somewhere, just a couple hundred, from her knowledge, I think, that she said. it was-
I mean, if we'd like to just allow up to $500, we could just pass that and say up to $500.
Yes.
Why don't we do that, so it's a go ahead? All right, anybody like to make that? All right, we're gonna allow up to $500 to purchase bulbs. Evan second, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you. Supervisor report. A couple things. I was asked about the soccer field use, and I will try to have, well, I'll give Evan the information that I have to post on the website. The soccer field is being used, we've mentioned this before, about the school, Germantown School having issues doing the renovation work. They have been using our field for some games and practices. The games, there's only 4 left. There's only 2 home games left, I believe. So it really, that's kind of, at this point, a moot point. But the actual Southern Columbia Soccer League is the league that is using Saturday mornings. That's the one that probably is probably the most interference with anything going on at the park. They do use the field from 9 a.m. to 12, basically 9 a.m. to 12 a.m., 12 p.m. So 9 to noon, and they will be holding games from now every Saturday through November 16th, I believe, is the last date. So it's 5 more weeks, I believe, of Saturdays that they will be at the park from 9 to 12. I can give the couple games scheduled that I know of that the field is being used for the school, but again, that's usually from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It's only a couple hour period at night, which I don't think it really affects too many people. But like I said, I believe they only have 2 more games scheduled for the year. We do need to figure out a mechanism for better than just contacting me, I guess. Maybe it's going to be something we can work on setting up on the website that people can directly request if they need the field or need the park or want to request the park for something else. But as of right now, anybody that would like to use the fields or like to, schedule something in the park, we've had, to contact me for scheduling, but it hasn't been an issue as of yet because it's just been a few games here and there. But the Saturday morning thing is a regular thing, so I mean that may interfere with some people that would like to use it. I would like to say that it's great to see as many people using it that there is. I mean, on Saturday morning, I think to have 75, 100 kids there. It's great. It's made up of the Southern Columbia League, which is Gallatin, Livingston, Tclermont, Germantown, any of the kids that are in that league. So it's really getting used by a lot of kids, which is great, from ages from, I think the youngest is 7, right up through 13, I believe they go to. So it's just a great thing. If you get a chance to see that many people there on a Saturday, you just take a look. It's nice. So the field is definitely getting used, which is something we really were happy to see.
I think it's a better turnout than what we anticipated. We were hoping to put something out that the community would make use of, and I think it's probably been better than what we thought.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. No, so happy to see it and glad we could help them out at this point.
We do need to look at more parking.
Parking's been an issue, especially on Saturday morning. They have a lot of cars there. They've filled the parking lot. I know they line up and down the road. I know they've parked up in the gravel driveway. I've asked them if they have overflow that goes up along the driveway. I says, please make sure they back off the north side, not towards the field side. And they have been doing that as far as I can tell. But that is something. It's an issue because they do have a lot of cars, which have been more than we can handle. But our parking lot's not that big. But I think it's been working out fine. I don't see an issue with it yet, but if we do have a problem, we're going to have to address that and change the way it's being done.
If Germantown is going to be short-term, I don't know if they'll use it again next year or not, but if we're going to have that much usage long-term, we should probably look at putting in some parking, not just parking on the grass.
Well-
There's room along that area for about 50 cars.
Once their fields have been rebuilt, they will not be using this again. This is just kind of a Band-Aid for them, but I know I don't know if they'll be ready to play on it again next year or not, so it may be one more season. I haven't been told that, they haven't asked us that yet, so I don't know for sure. But once they're done, I mean, they'll probably never play here again once they have the school fixed, so. The Southern Columbia League, again, they're happy, they really like it, they've had a lot of comments, the parents love it, they say it's easy to get in and out, and they really like theirs, so they would probably like to continue as long as we'd let them. So that's something we can discuss year by year if we want to do that. So, and see how it's going, if it's being a problem or if there's any issues being brought up, so.
Is there a fee when other towns or the Southern Columbia uses the field? Is there a fee that's charged?
We did not charge them. We talked about that a little bit. We decided, especially with the school, since it was basically just to help them out, a lot of taxpayers pay the taxes, we decided not to charge them. The Southern Columbia League, again, we did not ask them to pay a fee either. They've done a lot of work as far as helping us lay out the fields. They brought their own stuff over to goals, and they've provided a lot of manpower and trying to help us develop, the fields themselves. So we did not charge them a fee as well. That's something we can consider if they'd like to continue going forward. We could say, listen, it's working out great. I think you need to pay us a little bit. But they have been painting the lines. They're accepting the fees, the charges that are basically need to be done to maintain everything. So it's something we could consider going forward, though. Absolutely.
You did donate for the benches too, didn't you?
They did. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so not charging a fee, but they do donate, for the usage.
Yeah.
You brought up earlier the need to start scheduling the field now that we have two different groups that are, playing games. Then we have just people coming in and playing, ad hoc when it's available. One solution might be to have, if you want to reserve a spot, then there's a payment kind of similar to what we do with like the community house or whatnot, and just make it available outside of the scheduled times for, just pickup games or whatever. And I would think if we did that, then we could certainly count the payment in kind that we get from the Southern Columbia League or something in lieu of official payments. So they certainly do a lot of work, depending on, what fee we decide is appropriate for scheduling.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, we haven't had other interests, but I mean, that could change tomorrow, so I mean, that's the thing, 2 or 3 different leagues, if somebody calls up one, it certainly could become an issue quickly. So, it's something going forward, we should really consider doing. So, well, yeah, let me think about how to structure that, and we'll come up with a way to do that. I think it's a good idea.
And the other thing was, you mentioned a website. Regardless of how we end up deciding to do that, it would be fairly easy to put up a page which said these groups have it at these times. And then I remember there was also the mention of potentially a separate website for the park. I don't know what the plan is there. I would tend to think it would probably be a little better to just have a section of the Tclermont website that you could use for the park, because then you don't need to figure out web hosting and such, and it would be easy to, with a new website, invite other people in to be able to make edits. But that's something that could be discussed, and maybe that fits in with the scheduling portion, or maybe it's separate, I don't know.
I think that's a better idea, to keep it as part of our website, I believe. All right. Well, we can work on that as well, because that's something that's going to be ongoing. All right. Supervisor, anything else? I really don't have a whole lot to discuss. We're still working on the county budget. There's no good news there, unfortunately, that I don't see any changes coming for that. I'll let you know as soon as we have our next meeting on that, but everything else has been pretty quiet. If anybody has any questions, please contact me or ask me, and I'll see. If I don't have the answer, I'll certainly get it for you. I'm looking into anything I can with the county. Other than that, let's move on to motion to pay abstracts.
make a motion that we pay highway abstract number 10, vouchers 88 through 102 in the amount of $5,837.24.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Move to pay general prepaid abstract number 10, vouchers number 258 through 260, in the amount of 192.03.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
I move we pay general abstract 10A, vouchers 261 through 279, in a total of $4,636.46.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I make a motion to pay general abstract 10B, vouchers number 280 through 282, in the amount of $144.39.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Who seconded that one?
I
I'm sorry.
second
Last one.
One other thing I just realized I forgot to mention, I'm going to try and set up for the next meeting in November. Holly Tanner, the county clerk, has been attending multiple towns just to do a quick presentation on the Real ID and enhanced license issue. So she's been going around, she's done, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 towns already, and what I didn't have time to set it up for tonight, I don't know, but I'm going to try and set up for the November meeting, see if she can come down and just go through this real quick. She said there's a lot of confusing issues with this. She'd like to just run through a quick presentation. So if it works with her schedule, we will have her at the next meeting to do a quick presentation on that.
One of the confusing things is when they're advertising it on the TV, then you gotta have a little star up in the corner of your license to make it a real ID. But the enhanced ID that they've been having for the last several years is supposed to be the same thing. And when I was at the Golden Gathering, I asked the sheriff's department, because they were giving out IDs, and he said, yeah, that enhanced license, even though it doesn't have a star in the corner, is okay. But we should ask her that question.
Keep that on your list, keep that on your list. They'll have her come down and she should be able to answer anybody's
It
questions.
is the right one, or it's not the right one?
If it's an
Sorry.
enhanced, if it says enhanced license on your license, then what they told me at the Golden Gathering is that that is the right one. But I think if you get a new one of an enhanced license, it's probably gonna have a star in the corner. At least that's what they've been saying on the TV news.
Okay.
So
All the more
I'm
reason.
glad you've got Holly coming. 'cause
All the
Yes,
more reason to
me
come
too.
have her come
I'd
down.
like to get a real answer to that.
And what you need to use that for what kind of traveling, where it's accepted, and where it is, and what you need, because
To
I've
be able to
heard
get
different
on
things.
an airplane, for one thing,
Yeah, I mean,
to
I've
go
heard,
into Canada.
but not for a cruise.
So everybody make your list of questions, attend our next meeting, and we'll certainly, hopefully,
It's confusing.
we hopefully will
Excellent speaker.
not drive her out of here, but we can certainly get her to clarify some questions for us. All right. Okay, move on to public comment, public communication. Any comments? We are going to ask everybody to please step up because we're having trouble hearing people on the recording, so please step up to the podium.
Just 1 or 2 things. In the budget, you mentioned raises. I would really appreciate it and suggest to you that I think the town board, the ZBA, and the planning board members also receive an increment. Did you ever consider that for yourselves?
It was a brief discussion, and we decided that we weren't going to raise town board salaries, supervisor salaries, or any of the zoning or planning board salaries.
Okay. I shall certainly
This year,
report
this year.
that to the ZBA members. Okay. And the park, you've answered the parking in the soccer field. This is a problem that some people on Pleasantville Road have spoken about. On Route 9, coming towards my place, that would be 4, and then Pleasantdale Road going west, I guess. There's a woodworking place that, as you know, burnt down some years ago. And it was burnt down, and we looked at it for many years. and now it is just a hovel. And they were supposed to rebuild it, but now we have a junkyard there. And some people on that road are really perturbed about it. It's a beautiful road. And there's something really should be done about that.
We will ask.
And they've had a number of years in between the time they took down the burnt structure to now. So they've had enough time to do something.
We can have the code enforcement officer take a look and see
Great.
what can be done.
Okay.
Could you submit something in writing for me for that, please?
About Route 9?
Yes. If I have a document in writing, it's much easier. If you have a document in writing, it's much easier for him to investigate. If you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I will bring it up, but I would like something in writing. A complaint in writing would be, yes.
Okay. With no name on it, just, okay.
Thank you.
Never do another favor for anybody.
You can even send me an email if you'd like. If you'd like to email me the complaint.
That's a great idea. You have a printer?
Yes.
Great.
I have one.
You got it.
I have a couple.
You have a couple?
A couple. All right, thank you. Anybody else? Ah, you gotta get up. Thank you.
You can do the sound balance. You mentioned the soccer field use. It's great to see. I went by there on Saturday. It was like, I guess it was a couple of days ago. It was. I saw all the cars. It was great. I'm glad Ray and I were insisting on also making it compatible for soccer field. Across the street, on behind, or maybe it's in front of, depends on which side you want to look at, the Saw Paul warehouse over there, the newer one they built. There are some soccer goals out in the field there. Is that also used?
Not by the town.
It's just informal pickup games.
So, but why aren't they able to use the town field?
There's absolutely no reason why they're not allowed. They absolutely can. And I've seen some over there before, but they're absolutely entitled to use anything, yeah.
Those are closer to where they live.
They.
It's a lot of it's softball, Post Guard employees, I think.
I know, but it looks like, to me, there's like a two-tier demographic. So the only issue you're saying is that nobody's asked to use this town one. If they went over there,
They don't even have to
They
schedule.
don't have to ask.
They can go over and use it anytime. It's open to
Fine,
the
so I don't know if there's any way to
24/7.
communicate with, that, you can use the other field, it's a bigger field, you can have more running around.
Absolutely.
If it's not being used for
There's nobody else there.
scheduled.
Well, as far as what you just said is, it's scheduled Saturday morning and a couple of evenings a week.
That's it.
I think those guys only play on Sunday, maybe.
Anybody's welcome to use it for pickup games.
Okay. So the other question I have, there was so-called, or not so-called, that's the wrong term. Are there walking trails in the back?
Yes.
One trail?
There's a loop that goes up
Okay,
basically all the way
fine,
around.
There's a loop
Okay. I use
that-
trails plural, you're correct. There's a walking trail.
There's
So
a-
does
there's a
the,
loop and
does that
there's some
have,
cross paths
I get it,
also.
I get it. So, do we have any use numbers for how that's used?
We haven't done any study or, no. I can vouch that I've seen people walking on them, being at some of the games, and I've seen people using it.
There are
I don't
people
know
in
how
this-
many.
There are people in this room that have walked on it.
How many, that's not really, how many- I may have at one time walked on it too.
Well, if you take this as a general sample of the population, there's probably,
bring their dog.
Who is that?
probably 30% of the
I can't
people
tell you
in
her
town
name.
use it, based on
This
what
is
we have
secondary
here.
information, it doesn't count.
I mean, now that we've established that, I'm curious to know why.
Well, how well is it used? That's my question.
Oh,
How well is it used? Because I'd like to, I think I have in the past, and I've been humiliated to not no longer discuss the topic, Because
Solar.
with questions such as screening and other evasive deflecting methods, that if we've been paying attention to what's going on nationally, I'm not talking about the president or anything else, globally, I would hope the board would think in a way proactively and creatively as to how to enhance the environmental impact of this town and its operation. There is a way to do that. How is the one that's behind the firehouse in Red Hook structured? There's a way to do that out there, and as I said in the beginning, there was a way to do that out there without penetrating any of the contaminated dirt. So, I'm not here to talk about screening. I think that's not a concept that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the board thinking creatively to the future, not retroactively or conservatively. The interesting thing is there are towns around here doing it.
You're talking about what?
Solar.
Oh, I'm still trying to figure out what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about solar. I thought somebody mentioned it.
I
when
said that solar, yeah.
So, you know, I mean, it's like, how is the one behind, it's relatively large field behind the Red Hook Fire Department. Red Hook, it's probably also behind the DPW building there. There are people around here where the question would be, I think it's been raised before, it hasn't been creatively addressed. There are companies that rent the land, an income stream is potential, and the town doesn't have to do much of anything other than collect the check. It's an income potential lost for the town to not think of these creative solutions to things. So if there's 7 acres minus 20, 14 acres of walking trail, is that the math, or is the field is a little bit bigger, the stalker field's a little
Well,
bit bigger?
it's 20, take away the first 7, 8 acres, so it's probably 12 acres left.
Yeah.
Back.
So, you know, maybe it's not a huge area, but it's like, what is beautiful? That's the question. And it's like making, it's reinforcing in my perception, which, okay, I was dealing with this kind of issue in 1975. If people had taken an initiative in 1975, the first solar conference I went to was in 1979. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about screening. That's not a reason not to do it. And maybe it doesn't happen there. But maybe is there a way to create some kind of incentive? Why didn't Saw Paw do it over there?
I can't speak
Jeff,
for that.
ask him.
Well, somebody must have a hint.
I can't speculate on
No
what you did.
speculation. I'm not looking for speculation either, but it has to do with the health of the community, and it's an example to the younger people. How can younger people get involved if they see like progressive things happening? And I don't mean progressive in the political sense, okay? I'm talking about moving forward to determine something that is going to be productive use of land, creating income stream for the town potentially or an individual. And so that's my beef for tonight, and the beef is really related to, there's the board, in my opinion, maybe the opinion of others, I'm not doing a survey, would be better served by taking a future-looked approach in a creative view. And to me, since I've been involved with this since 1975, this ain't the future. This is like way too late.
Well, we have a committee that's working tirelessly on the park.
It's a good thing that they're not here tonight, because you probably wouldn't get to your car. But,
Okay,
but
that's
no,
when I didn't want to get yelled at or mocked
Right.
by saying something that I feel is important, and so I don't think that that's a productive response.
Let me try and give you.
I didn't think it was a
response.
so I'm telling you, don't patronize me. I know what I'm doing.
Chris,
You know what you're doing
not
also.
questioning what you know and
Chris,
what you're
let me give you a
doing.
different response.
I don't want to hear a response. I just made a misstatement. I'm not debating it.
Well, I think
I'm not debating it.
You don't have to debate it. It requires a response.
It doesn't require a response.
In my mind, it does, and I'm sitting on this side of the table, so I'm going to respond. We have been looking at that property for recreation. for a
I was
long
looking at
time.
it before you were on the board.
Don't interrupt. I didn't
No,
interrupt you.
you didn't interrupt me, and I appreciate that, but don't start from a fallacious point. I was looking at that land before you were on the board.
I'm sure you were,
As was Ray and as several other people.
yeah.
It was us who dealt with Hetling.
I know that. But as of now, we have been looking at long-term plans. We do have walking trails. That was one of the things that was requested in the first survey that we
Okay,
had
that's,
several
the
years
first
ago.
survey was how many years ago?
Quite a few.
Maybe it
Probably
needs to
10
be,
or 15.
is it more than 5?
Yes.
Aren't I recommended to be
And
relooked
there
at after
was-
every 5
there
years?
was- There was another survey done. And walking trails are something that people have been using. There are people in this room, as I said, that have used them. Ray has seen people walking on
The
trails.
question isn't between walking trail and solar or advanced thinking on the board. Those are two different things. I'm not talking about a walking trail. It's not about a walking trail.
Let me lay it out for you. I, as one board member among 5, am not willing to put that land into solar panels. Solar panels are good, they're doing good for the environment, but that land is for recreation, and that's what we're doing with it. And I don't want to debate it with you anymore, Chris, that's
Good,
it.
I don't want to debate either. That's what I said before you started.
I don't know if anybody else has a
Excuse me, I have a comment.
It wasn't my point about that.
If you want to step up, you have, to please step up to the podium. Yeah, we have to have you so we can get it. Thank you.
You can incorporate both. It's a recreation field, and we can also have solar. Every community has some involvement around us. You see the signs in Red Hook. They have solar meetings. They have a little kiosk there where people go and can ask for information. So this has nothing to do with the recreation. It has to do with the health of the land and the health of the community. And it's a benefit to us financially. So it's something for you to think about. And maybe this is something the park committee can look into, and we can have a subgroup, just find out information about solar, besides the main purpose of the park committee. And we can certainly, look into that, because we get money for it, and also people can use the solar. So why, one doesn't negate the other, Bob. Of course it's going to be for recreation. But you can have solar like every other community. And the people around this solar can also take advantage of it, besides us getting a check. So it's something to think about. But you could have a subcommittee, and the park committee can, because we have someone like Lindsay who is very much interested in this, and we can investigate it. And maybe there's someone else on the board who is interested in this, like to join.
Well, these solar companies, and Chris would know, they'll come out, they'll walk through the property, they'll set up, they'll give you estimates, and they'll give you ideas. I can very easily set up a meeting to take a look at it and see if it's something that's even possible, to see how it would work. I mean, I don't know how you trench it out to the road to get to the wires. There's a lot of stuff that you have to come into this because we can't break the surface, but we could certainly see if it's even feasible.
Why not?
Just in a
They're going to
discussion.
do the work. We don't have to pay for it. There are a couple of solar companies up here. Why not have them give us a report to see if it is feasible?
Yeah.
And all the pros and cons. I just see it as pros. And like Chris said, it's inviting to people who are going to be moving to the community that we're of this century, not of the past century.
Thank Thank you for your comment. We certainly can look into that. I can certainly set up the appointment. Thank you for bringing it up again, Chris. I know you've been on top of this subject for many years, so I appreciate it. Okay, any other comments? Complaints? We're doing all right. All right.
You want complaints? Should I email you?
I'll be happy to listen to anything that you want to bring to the board. Okay, if there's no other comments, I'll entertain a motion. Whoop. Man, oh man. Right under the wire.
Sorry. I do feel just an obligation to say something about solar, and I think it's more than solar. It's about climate change generally and how this town is responding to climate change. That may be solar, that may be encouraging, giving residents additional information about how they can support renewable energy. I know we in Tclermont had a terrible storm last year, the increase of which is many people relate to climate change. In May of last year, we had, because of the hail, well, our solar panels were blown out, actually, which the New York State couldn't believe. The head of NYSERDA just couldn't believe that that happened. That hasn't been recorded, apparently, by the agency previously. And we had 90% crop loss on our farm in May. So I think it's about time that the town recognizes climate change and thinks about a strategy. Maybe that's solar, maybe that's other things, but it's real, and I think it's important for Tclermont to position itself as recognizing those challenges and being part of solving it as we can, even on a local level.
Okay, all right, very good. All right.
Could you give us 5 minutes to think of any other complaints?
You can have about 5 seconds. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I couldn't
Second?
resist, sorry.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
We did that, Bob, and who else